right, guys, this is Krazy Kev here. I'm here with Giovanna Canuto. Giovanna, how we doing?
We're doing good. Just
Yeah,
fought. Feel pretty, chill now. The emotions have been all over the place for the last few days, but I feel like I'm finally, settling in and like proud of the work that we did.
yeah, no, you definitely should be proud of your work. And now, when it comes to that fight, I mean, that was a huge win. I mean, talk us a little bit more about that performance and what you maybe think is next for you here.
I was very proud of the performance. I feel like most of my opponents come into my fights, now thinking I need to defend the takedown, and I'm not even thinking to go there most of the time. I'm kind of like whatever is afforded to me, I'll take it. And yeah, I think she messed up in thinking that I was only a grappler, and they were saying that all week. They were saying that I had zero hands, so it was kind of like a chip off my shoulder because I was able to show how much I've improved in my striking, in the last few months. And yeah, I feel like I'm finally getting to the point. I've always said it to my husband, like, man, if I can only get a little bit like I am in jiu-jitsu in MMA, like it's gonna be amazing. And I feel like I'm finally getting like 10% of like how comfortable I was in jiu-jitsu in MMA now, and it's kind of like showing in my performances. And yeah, I'm just happy that I can show like every fight is a little bit better than the next or than the last one, and that's the goal. I think about what's next, I think the UFC just can't deny me. Whatever happens next is in God's plans, and but I'm sure that I'll be getting a call soon. I think if I keep performing the way that I'm performing, then it's just inevitable. And I'm 23, so I think it's a pretty good record. To have at 23. I'm 7-1. I only ever lost in a 5-round fight, which was, to be honest, a war. I got illegal knee 3 times. Like it was just a crazy like fight, and a lot of people did say that I could have won if it was like out of damage. So it was just a good experience. I feel like I have a ton of experience for 23, and yeah, I'm more mature now, and I feel like I learned a lot of lessons from my loss, and I just keep on getting better. So I think it's inevitable that they just can't deny me if I keep performing the way that I'm performing.
Yeah, no, I definitely would agree. I definitely think you're more than UFC ready at this point. And now, with
Thank you.
that being said, with you being potentially UFC ready, I mean, are you willing to wait until like Dana White Contender Series in August? Are you trying to maybe get one more if needed? I mean, talk us a bit more about what you think your timeline is for that.
I'm not sure what the UFC has planned for the strawweight division. I feel like it's a little bit like full, and like from my perspective, I think there's a ton of girls that they're, the strawweight is mostly like top 15 are very very good girls, and then kind of like under that, I feel like it's a ton of girls that are basically just trying to prove themselves, to get to the rankings. And I think it's a little bit like that with every division, but the 115, in my opinion, has the most girls, so it's kind of like a little bit weird to sign new people because it's like you have to be like on, like you have to be showing them that you have something to provide that, the other 30, 40 girls aren't. And I think I do have that. And I would be, I'm not like in a perfect world, I would like to go straight in, kind of how one of my friends has done, Jacqueline Amarine, and that's like a good path in my opinion. But that was also like a few years ago. I don't know how they're working now, but I think I would get a short notice, maybe, or go straight in. I'm not sure about Dana White Contender Series, but if that's the way that they want to me to go, or if it's in the circumstances, odds, whatever, like I would do it. Um, but I'm not sure that that's like in our bucket list. I think the perfect in a perfect world it would be to go straight in.
Yeah, no, I definitely think you could get signed straight in for sure. You definitely have a great following and definitely a great record on top of that as well. And
Mhm.
now, going into your last fight, like you mentioned, you've had a ton of improvements with your striking and just all
Mhm.
around in general. What have you kind of been doing in the gym to get better and get more well rounded? And talk to us a bit more about some of your training partners that are also helping you out as well.
I had a training partner, Sophie Lang, that was helping me. She's a 1-0 pro fighter, but she's been training with me for a while now, and she's a 115er. And she's kind of like the style that you would want if you're a grappler, right? Which is like good defense and takedowns, very good striking, tons of kicks. So like I have a more of a boxing style, and I feel like a ton of people want to just kick me. So I think she's like the perfect partner. We've been pushing each other a ton in training. We constantly are trying to beat each other. and I think that's awesome. I had Casey O'Neill to be one of my partners in the beginning of this before she went to Thailand. Yeah, I just think like for this camp, it was mostly like I didn't have a ton of partners, but it was very like hey, like we're gonna work on these things, specific things for this fight, you know. So we were able to get a good group of people that were like coaches, and I Angel Cejudo. I worked with Liam Hill, who became like my officially my head coach this camp, which was, you know, it was uncomfortable, but it was fun, you know, because it's like, hey, like, how is he going to deal with this? How am I going to deal with this? And then there's like the side of, you know, separating, like having a relationship and then also, you know, being a coach. The good thing about that one is because we have been training partners since we were 13. So, and like best friends basically before we became partners. So then I think that that helps like a ton, you know, and we can like separate those things. And I had Jameson White, who's an amazing striking coach. He helped me so much for this camp. He's been helping me for most of my other camps too, but he wasn't able to come out, and this was the first time that he did come out and to be my corner. And yeah, it was just a great group. We focused. This is like kind of a touchy subject, but we started to do a new form of training, which is I did zero drilling for this camp. So I only did live games, and I think we can see the difference in you know, my past performances and now. I think I was way more adaptive. So we were basically doing this thing that's called CLA, which is constraints led approach, and you know, it's basically one person has constraints and objectives. So it's like, hey, your goal is to do this, but you can only do it with this. It's I'm explaining in a very vague way, but both people have goals, both people have constraints, and it's in a very specific position. And you know, and it like helps you just be very adaptive. It helps you be task focused. It helps you, you know, because it's like, okay, let's do this 30 times with, oh my God.
There
So
you go. Yo.
I'm doing this through the Instagram link that you sent me, and I have a
Oh,
golf one, so it literally came up right now. So I was like, no.
okay.
But uh, back to what I was saying is basically before I would just do drills, and it would be like, you know, let's say in jiu-jitsu it would be like leg jerk drills, and you're just doing it like 100 times, and then you're expected to do it in live situations. And in my opinion, it's sort of stupid because it's like now you have a human fighting you and they're not going to let you, and you just drill this thing 40 times with no resistance, you know. So it's kind of a new thing. It's used a lot in other sports, and it just started to be a thing in jiu-jitsu, and the people that are doing it in jiu-jitsu are growing like in like exponentially. And I decided with my husband to do it for MMA, and I genuinely think that I'm one of the first like people that are doing it, like following everything to the T for MMA. I even talked to, you know, Greg Souders, who is the person that's doing it the most in jiu-jitsu, and he helped me a ton with my questions and stuff. And I was very nervous about it because I was like, this is a new, you know, thing, and I just have to put my cards in it, and I have to have faith that it's gonna work. But like I've been doing this thing forever, like, and it's kind of hard to do something different whenever you've been winning. So, because I feel like my last two performances before this one, it was all, you know, doing my old style of training, and I was winning. So it's like, why fix it, right? Like, why change anything? And I feel like I was called to like change it. Like something in me wanted to change it and see how it works. And yeah, it was for this fight. So I think a lot of people were like, "Your striking got so much better. You're adaptive." Even like, you know, with the takedowns, people were in the comments or in the commentator were saying, "Oh, she's defending the takedowns. This is frustrating." And I'm like, it wasn't frustrating because I'm genuinely playing games where I'm being denied and I'm losing over and over again. So it's basically, it just creates you, it creates a very resilient athlete, in my opinion. Because, like, if you're constantly being put in these games that people are just beating you on, you start to find little ways and solutions to win the game. And I feel like while I was doing those takedowns, let's say she was defending it, I was just like, okay, a little bit more here, a little bit more there. Like, I need to find the solutions to this game. And as soon as I got her to the ground, you know, it was kind of like a little ding, ding, ding. And then I won the fight. So yeah, I felt amazing there. I was having a blast. I don't know if she was having a blast, but I was. So
And no, you definitely were having a blast, and like you said on the mic, you were definitely glad you were able to have like a fun war and everything like that. I'm definitely glad
Mhm,
you were able to have a fight that you were expecting. And now
mhm,
going into that fight as well too. I mean, obviously, you're like I saw the front kick, it like hit you in the nose. You got your nose
mhm.
like cut up a little bit from the toenail. I mean, talk a bit more
Yeah.
about like everything about that and how everything's kind of healing. Yeah, you can see it. Jeez.
Um, yeah, so basically the commission came to the back like a few times to check my nails, and they were like, you need to cut this one, you need to cut that one. So I wasn't expecting, her nail to be messed up, but um honestly, I haven't posted too much about my nose. Like, I've posted about it, but I haven't posted how it was in the back, and it was so like the cut was so clean and sharp that you could see my cartilage. And the funny story is that I just like fought, right, and I'm like leaking my blood and I'm doing all this crazy shit, and then I get to the back and they're like, oh, you need to get stitches, your nose is not broken. And I'm like, I'm not getting stitches because I'm terrified of needles or anything. And they were like, no, you need to get stitches. And I look at my husband, I'm like, can I leave it? And he's like, fuck no, like you can't leave it because my nose is just hanging, like, and I have like so much adrenaline. I'm like, no, I'm just gonna leave it. And he's like, no, you can't leave it. And yeah, so they were like, you need to get stitches. I got 9 stitches. So it was so sharp that her nail cut through the inside and came out of the outside. So I had to get dissolvable stitches on the inside of my nose, and then these on the outside. Um, but yeah, it was craziness because my thought process when I got cut, like, because it was in the beginning of the first round, so it was just like, what the fuck just happened, right? And she kicks me and I'm like, oh, that was very close. That was my thought process. I was like, oh, that was very close. And then I feel blood like falling all over my hands, and I'm like, is that from my mouth? Like, I literally was like, that's from my mouth. But then I feel like a cold feeling on my nose, and I'm like, the people that I know that have broken their nose say that it hurts like a bitch, right? So then I'm like, do I have like a lot of adrenaline that I can't feel it? Or like I was so confused like mid fight, and this is like also like while I'm trying to focus on the fucking human that's trying to fight me, So I'm like, you need to like not care about that. You need to keep fighting, but at the same time, I'm like, is my nose broken? And it was very weird too because once I went back to the corner, um, the cut man's putting stuff on my nose and stuff, but it's not hurting, it's just like cold, like it's and he's like cleaning my face, and then I look at the camera like because they have the screens and stuff, and I look at it and I'm like, my face is completely clean now, so it's like just very very weird situation. I'm glad that I'm glad that my nose wasn't broken. And yeah, I'm glad that I dealt with it like very good. And if it wasn't for the nose being cut, then I wouldn't have done the BJ pan. So I
Yeah.
think it was cool. I have some really cool shorts now too. So I just it wasn't from a punch, so it wasn't from like a war. It was just more from like her just cutting my nose with her toenail.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's insane. That's definitely a weird one, and definitely glad that everything's been getting better. And now, getting back into your grappling a little bit. I mean, you obviously
Mhm,
competed for like on UFC Fight Pass at the Invitational
mhm.
against Denise Gomes. What was that experience like? And talk us a bit more about that whole thing.
It was. I don't want to like. I don't want to be, a bitch, but I like barely trained for that because I was going from like, gym to gym for in Vegas. While I was still training in Vegas, I was going from gym to gym. So like I was going to a boxing gym, I was going to a wrestling gym for MMA. And then when I got that call to do like the jiu-jitsu match, I was like, oh, I'm just gonna, do like a month worth of like jiu-jitsu, but I wasn't training jiu-jitsu for jiu-jitsu. I was doing a lot of jiu-jitsu for MMA. And it was like maybe if I get this grappling match and I train like with the style of MMA, then I'm gonna be able to train have a match with her that's good enough because she's an MMA fighter. So I didn't expect her to have like tons of, jujitsu, like jujitsu-y grappling. Like I thought she was gonna more do like heavy style, like wrestling, and then like stay in a low stance. And then if I pull guard, I thought she was just gonna sit on her butt and like not let me do anything. Because that's my experience with a lot of MMA people that come to a jiu-jitsu class. And I was like, I'll be fine. I would just keep doing whatever I'm doing, and then I'll compete against her. And when I got there, I was very impressed because she she like started to entangle like leg locks and stuff. Like she started to get into leg entanglements, and I was like, well, I was not expecting like a UFC fighter to do that. And props to her, you know, she was very strong. I was expecting her to be very strong, but I didn't expect her to be that strong. Like she was grabbing my wrist like so hard that I had like marks on like my wrist from her like squeezing me, and I was like, oh my god, like this girl is so strong. And you can see it in her fights, you know, she like absolutely like knocks people out. And yeah, she you know, she was a good match. I was kind of upset afterwards because I was like, I would like to show, you know, more um, of like an exciting style of my grappling, which is, you know, what I'm used to in training and my other competitions. But it was kind of like, well, she's literally trying to leg lock me, so therefore, you know, I needed to like leg lock her back, you know. But yeah, it was fun. I'm working on maybe getting on some of the future cards for sure.
Yeah, no, I definitely would love to see you compete in that as well. And now getting back into your fighting career, I mean, your last fight that you just had, talk us a bit more. I mean, was that maybe your favorite fight you had so far in your career? And if it wasn't that one, I mean, talk us a bit more about what else it could have been.
I think that was my favorite fight for sure. I was so comfortable. I was sharp. I had good eyes. You know, I talked to my sports psychologist right before that fight, and he was like, "What are the three words or like three things, right?" And it's basically he gives me three things to think about and repeat while I'm like in the tunnel or like about to be called out. And it's I think the last fight, if I'm not mistaken, was um I think it was mentally sharp, physically loose, which I don't agree with now, but that's a story for another time. But it was mentally sharp, physically loose, and then like swag or something. Like I wanted to like beat them very badly, like in like a swaggy way, you know. And then for this fight, it was resilience and good eyes, and it was resilience, yeah, resilience, good eyes, and adaptive. So, and then I was like, he was kind of asking me why I wanted those three, and I'm like, because if I have good eyes, I can see everything. If I'm resilient and she, you know, she stuffs takedowns, and this is literally like before the fight, like maybe 5 hours before the fight. I'm like, if she tries to stuff takedowns and if she tries to be like stubborn, I'm gonna be more stubborn. I'm gonna be more resilient, and I'm gonna eventually get it right. And if I'm adaptive, then you know, kind of what happened in the fight is like you're staying low, you're trying to catch my kicks with your hands down. I'm gonna question mark kick you, and that's just something that you do in the moment. It's not something that like you can really be cued on. It's not really like something that you learn. It's more like if you're very present and you're very like aware of what's going on and her reactions, then you can be adaptive like right there in that moment. So I'm very proud of how adaptive I was. I'm very proud of how I dealt with the cut. Um, you know, because a lot of people go through fights in their career and they kind of don't deal with adversity. You know, they don't see their own blood, or like they just kind of tap people very fast, which is some of my fights. Like I just tapped people very fast, and I'm kind of like, people are like, "What did you learn?" And I'm kind of like, "Oh, I learned a lot from the camp, but I didn't learn much from the fight." You know, because it was like it was faster than and I was like so happy that it was fast. But you know, like sometimes when you have a longer fight, you can like look back. I mean, not sometimes, but all the time when you have a longer fight, you can definitely look back and be like, oh, I messed up there. I was very good there. And I think for this fight, I can genuinely look back and be like proud of the work that we did. I went through a lot of things as a scamp, like you know, annoying injuries, drama. Like there was just so much stuff that I haven't posted about it, and only like literally like 5, 10 people know in my life, and like not even some of my family know. It's like it's pretty crazy. And I'm very proud of how I dealt with it and how I performed. I was honestly worried. I talked to one of my friends and she was very worried because she was like, I'm gonna tell you right now, I genuinely don't know how you were gonna perform, because she was like, after all of that through your camp, like I didn't know how you were gonna do it. But I'm very proud of you. And yeah, it was just a crazy roller coaster. Honestly, it got to the point where I wanted to pull out, but I was like, no, I can't. But it was like it was really bad. Like this camp like stretched me and got me very close to God, because it was just genuinely the only way, you know, to like kind of take it off of my shoulders and put it like in something that I believe in, and just kind of like have faith and, be very like, I let go, and like I choose to like just do the work and see how that's gonna turn out. And I'm just so happy that it went well, and it was the fight that it was. I had a great dancing partner. Like she was game too. Like we were talking in Portuguese. So I think I was having so much fun. Honestly, um, that might be my favorite fight just because of how much fun I was having in the moment.
No, that's definitely awesome. I'm definitely glad you were able to push through the adversity and do everything that you were supposed to do. And now, with your career, I mean, like we mentioned, we definitely think you're UFC ready. I mean, with the strawweight division, I mean, is there any like potential opponents on maybe who you're eyeing up? I mean, does it really matter at this point? I mean, talk to us a bit more about that.
No, I haven't been looking too much into like the UFC rosters. To be honest, I know a lot of them, like personally, and I speak to a lot of them. For me, it's just like a job, like it's kind of like we can be friends on the outside of business. Like I don't care. If I dislike you, you will know because I would be so patty about it. Uh, and yeah, but I'm just doing a job. Like even in jiu-jitsu, I used to have a ton of friends, and we would be in the same division, and we would compete, and then get food after. Like for me, it's genuinely just art, and it's like we're both trying to express ourselves through art, like as much as possible, and whoever does it better wins. So it's beautiful and crazy at the same time to me. So yeah, I feel like the moment when the moment comes, and like maybe I don't know the girl, or like then I can be a little bitty and make a little fuss about it. But I'm genuinely just thinking of how I can paint my picture, the best as I can, and like be the best artist that I can in fighting. I think a lot of people see fighting as like this crazy like bloody thing, and it's like so gladiator shit sometimes, and I see it like that too. But most of the time I'm seeing it as art. Like you look at people like Sean O'Malley, you look at people like Izzy, you look at people like Valentina. They're like artists, like they're painting a picture, and I think that that's like the biggest source of inspiration for me.
Yeah, no, I definitely think those fighters are some good inspirations, and some of those guys are fighting this weekend. So definitely looking forward to seeing
Mhm.
like Joe get back in action. And now with your career right now, I mean, obviously, UFC is probably one of your biggest goals. But I mean, what else maybe for your goals you might have for 2026 or just in general for your MMA career?
I want to travel a ton. Like I think this last year was kind of like I moved to Arizona, and I gave it a year, which was like my, me and my manager call it like MMA college, right? And it's like you kind of like move away and you go to the state and you give it, a little bit of time, and you learn and you experience new things. So I feel like that was like my first year really being an adult, if you really think about it, because it's like I kind of, went out of my comfort zone. I moved to another state, and I learned so much. I met great people that I'm gonna take for the rest of my life, and I feel like this year is gonna be a little bit more of the same, but with less of the like, oh my God, like how am I gonna do this? Because I kind of already experienced it with Arizona, so I want to do that with a few other places. I'm planning on going to Thailand soon. Um, I don't have anything certain yet, but I would love to go to Thailand and get a little bit of a training experience there. Especially for striking, I think it's a great place. Sheep, it's beautiful, good people. My friends are there right now, but mainly right now I'm focusing on recovery from a few of the injuries that I had for this camp. It was minor. It wasn't like crazy injuries, but I would like to recover that for at least my 30 days that I can't fight with this. Um, but yeah, just I'm trying to like gather my thoughts and see where I'm going next, because I do think that 2026 is going to be a big one, and I'm happy to start it with a banger. But yeah, I'm kind of just gathering everything that I have and all the pieces of the puzzle, and I'm kind of just like, where do I want to go next, and what do I want to do? But then also, the cue for the fight, also I take it in real life, which is to be adaptive. So whatever comes my way, I'm sure I'll be adaptive, and I'm sure I'll figure out what to do next.
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to seeing what's next for you. And now, when it comes to traveling, what was maybe some of your favorite places that you might have traveled to so far?
Ooh, not a lot of things beat Brazil, where I come from, because I feel like the energy is just amazing in Brazil. I miss it so much. I was actually talking to my mom about, going there. But honestly, my favorite place on earth is my husband's hometown. Like I love Hawaii, and we went to Honolulu like every year for 2 3 years I think now, and yeah, it's just amazing. I feel like it's almost like Brazil if Brazil was like a part of America, So it's it's very cool. I love the food. I'm obsessed with the food. I actually was disgusted of poke and the idea of poke because I come from a place that, does not have it. I'm from the Amazon, so whatever fish we're having it from the river, and you're not eating that raw, So yeah, and then I went to Hawaii and I tried poke, and I didn't even try like the best place, and I was like, this is the greatest thing I've ever tried, and I'm literally obsessed with it. And now post wake up, it's all I want to eat. And yeah, I think Hawaii is like my favorite place so far, but nothing beats like the hometown feeling of mine, which is, it's not because it's, beautiful or like it's just like my hometown. I just love it there. I just want to go. Um, but I think like vacation wise, I would probably choose Hawaii over a lot of places all the time.
Yeah, no, Hawaii definitely sounds cool. I've never been there myself, but definitely I've been hearing
Really?
a lot of good things. No, never.
It's like I literally asked Liam like how does it feel to be like from paradise? Like it's literally I think it's like heaven on earth. It's
Wow.
beautiful. The people are amazing. Nobody's in a rush, like everybody's driving slow. The food is amazing. The people are just family. Like it's beautiful. It's amazing. I love everything about Hawaii.
Yeah, no, it definitely sounds like a cool place for sure. It's definitely on my bucket list to kind of go over there one day. I definitely need to go
Yeah.
over there.
Just
And
expensive though, so you gotta
yeah,
you gotta
yeah, it
you gotta
definitely
be
is.
ready.
Yeah. So, yeah. Now, another thing I wanted to ask you about. I mean, obviously, we've been talking a lot about your fighting career, but I mean, what do you kind of like to do outside the cage when you're not in there training and fighting?
um I love reading. Like I read a ton of like fiction books, but me and my friend have like sort of a book club that we like just exchange books with each other. I have been bad about it. I kind of am on a reading slump right now, but I think it's just because of, uh, you know, series of events and like fighting and all of that. So like you don't really have the mind to like read anything. I honestly love watching fights. Like I try to watch like fights from any sort of like I love watching wrestling. I watch wrestling tournaments, I watch jiu-jitsu tournaments, I watch boxing fights, I watch, Muay Thai fights. Like I love watching any kind of like good fighter. Like I love like studying other styles of fighting, just so I can like be aware of it. And I just love how like good people kind of find their own, like it fascinates me how people go through their career and they kind of find their style and they kind of like their ways of fighting. And like some people like to kick, some people like to punch, some people like to take down, some people, and I think it's beautiful. I love eating. I eat a lot. I actually eat like a ridiculous amount for a little girl. I think a lot of like I impress a lot of people when I go out to like all you can eat barbecue or something. They're just like, what the fuck? Because I'm just keeping up with like a 205er, Um, but yeah, I think it's where all the muscle comes from is all the food that I eat.
Nice, nice. No,
But
that's
yeah,
definitely
I don't know.
awesome.
I don't have like many. How can I say hobbies that I'm like I really like doing this. I like rock climbing, but it's not like it's not something that I make time for like in a
Right.
week something. But also I'm just down for like anything. Like somebody could call me right now and be like, "Let's go fishing." And I'd be like, "I'm down." Like I don't really have many like preferences.
Yeah, no, that definitely makes sense, and I'm kind of the same way with that. I'm always down to kind of do anything as well. And now
It's
you
fun.
mentioned, huh? Yeah, and you mentioned as well too. You like to watch a lot of good fighters. When it comes to like this weekend, I mean, Sugar Show, like we were mentioning, is fighting
Mhm,
this weekend against Song Yadong.
mhm,
We also have Gaethje versus Patty. What's maybe your
mhm.
prediction for those fights? How do you see those ones going?
Ooh, uh, I've been thinking about this one. So, funny story is we went to Sacramento for maybe a month and we lived with Song Yadong. And so he's like very nice. It was like around the time that he didn't know English too, so we were kind of like still messing with him and like, he was getting his broken words out, but he's a very funny guy, very nice guy, opened his house for us to stay in. And then I also went to Tim's place not too long ago in Arizona, and him and Sean were super nice also. I think style wise, Song Yadong actually looks great. Like I've never seen him this lean. I think he's working with the nutritionist couple, and he's great. And he's like super lean. He's the probably in the best shape that I've ever seen him. But Sean also has the chip on his shoulder, from, kind of, I wouldn't say falling off, but like losing to Rob twice. Stylistically, it was just like a bad fight for him. I genuinely think that if I could bet on it, I would probably bet on Sean having like that long range and probably frustrating Song a little bit, and then Song being a little bit emotional maybe, and like trying to knock him out, which he can't do. I think if he clips, Song or Sean, he could knock him out. But I think Sean is kind of gonna go about the same way that he went with Aljo. That's my prediction for that fight. But I also see that Song is working with a judo guy, J Flow, a lot for like a few months now. So I can't not wait. I can't wait to see how that's gonna go and how like his wrestling and judo kind of like combines with all of that, because it could be a surprise for all of us. We're thinking that this guy's gonna strike and he just takes Sean down. So that's why it makes it such a interesting fight to me. Patty and Justin, I I genuinely think, in my opinion, that fight shouldn't really be happening. Because I don't think Patty has the best like resume, in my opinion, to like fight for that belt. But I know that the Ilya is my favorite fighter at the moment, so I'm just kind of like a little biased.
Yeah.
But I know that his whole family thing is happening, so that he kind of has to open, the way for the other fighters. I think Justin Gaethje a few years ago, I would not even think about it. I would just say like he's gonna knock him out. But this time I'm like, does Patty take him down? Like does Patty keep his chin up in the air and gets knocked out by Justin Gaethje? That's really like the question mark for me. I think if it passes maybe 2 rounds and Patty cannot take him down, I think Justin Gaethje wins either decision by absolutely beating the shit out of him for a long time, or eventually knocks him out.
Yeah. No, I think you have some pretty on point predictions for sure because I was also checking out like Song Yadong recently on Instagram and like yeah, he's been doing like some really sick like judo throws and then like on his Instagram the other day he was at the gym and like he just looks like he's in like crazy shape. So like I'm really excited for this fight because I definitely think he has the potential to get this one to the ground and if he does, I mean, it will definitely be interesting to see how Sugar Show will be able to kind of handle it.
Yeah, like how does Sugar kind of prepare himself for this one? You know what I mean? Because like
Right.
I'm sure that the other camps were very wrestling heavy, and it's
Yeah.
like, do you go back to your striking self? Do you still do tons of wrestling because you're expecting this guy to wrestle you? But then if he doesn't, it's that's why I love like fighting, because it's a chess game before the chess game. I don't know, like you gotta like kind of predict what this person is gonna prepare for, like what. And honestly, one of the best things that I've done myself is to just look at myself very neutrally and just be like, how would I beat myself? Because it's like those people are watching you, thinking about how they're gonna beat you. So you have to be very logical and not emotional at all. Not be like, oh, I can just knock out everybody, or they won't be able to do that to me, because I've been around a lot of fighters that are just very delusional. They watch fights and it's like, if you literally were to ask them like, how would this person beat you, they would just be like, it's not happening. And it's like, well, you're just fucking out of your mind, because it could happen. And you'd probably get a lot better if you thought a different way. And I think I think those two fighters are kind of like doing that in a way that they're just like, is this person wrestling? Is this person striking? Is this person like, planning to stay long? Is this person patient? So I think that's why I love the fighting game in that way.
Yeah, no, I definitely think this is going to be an exciting fight. I'm definitely glad it got bumped up to the co-main, even though I really wish we could have saw Kayla Harrison compete. And
I
yeah,
know.
it's been awesome talking to you, Giovanna. I really appreciate
Thank
you taking the time, especially so close after your fight. What's maybe your final message out there to the fans watching this video?
I think it's gonna be a fun ride. I think if you want to follow me, on my way to becoming one of the greatest ever, I think you should watch all of my fights. I think I'm gonna get better, um, like exponentially in the next few years. I haven't even hit my prime year. I'm 23 years old. I'm 7-1. I'm a multiple time world champion in jiu-jitsu that's learning how to strike. And my last fight, I basically just outstriked a striker. And I think I'm just going to keep on doing things like that. And then as soon as I get to the UFC, it's going to be a fast one. I'm just going to eventually get to the top, then eventually get to the belt. I'll eventually defend the belt multiple times, and I'll be, the greatest ever. That's the goal. That's what I wake up for every day. And I think it would be a good idea to start following me now, because then you get to experience the whole ride.
Yeah, no, I definitely think following you is definitely a good idea, and I'm super grateful to have you on before your UFC journey because, like you said, I definitely think you have a ton of potential, and I'm definitely looking forward to seeing you get the call and seeing what's next for you here in 2026.
Thank you, man. Thank you for making the time and for having a good interview. And I hope to talk to you soon.
Yeah, no, definitely. I hope I can talk to you again soon. And again, thank you so much for taking the time, especially so close after your fight. And I hope everything's healing okay. And looking to see you back in the cage sometime soon.
Yes, soon I'll have these things taken out. Hopefully, it doesn't
Nice.
hurt too much.